Hello everyone, I hope you're doing very well. This is Dafnis Prieto here. I'm really excited to be here and to share some of my stories. But before I start with my story, I would like to thank 𝗟𝗣𝗙𝗘 Latin Percussion. I've been with them already for more than 15 years or so. So I've been honored to be part of the family for a while. And I want to personally thank also Jules Thomas and 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗢 who invited me to be here, and also are helping us out with everything that happens on the back end of this broadcast. So thank you for joining us and join me in this case, which I'm really excited to share some of my experiences and some influences and some inspiring moments in my life. So I also want to encourage you. You can type anything on the chat, on the chat here in the bottom, and we can take questions. Those questions could be in English or Spanish. It doesn't matter. I'm going to mainly speak in English because we have a broader audience. But anything that you want to ask, please type it in on the chat, and we take care of you and answer as soon as we can. So I was born in Santa Clara, Cuba, in 1974. I was born in a humble neighborhood. It's full of music and arts around it. No one in my family is actually an artist or a musician of any kind. However, I was always surrounded by music and sound in my neighborhood. I used to listen to the people rehearsing in their houses. They rehearse with their window opens and the door open, and I squeeze in and hear all the rehearsals and became friends with those musicians. And I'm talking about very young age. I will say 6 to 7 years old. I already start hanging around. It was very friendly environment, and I'm really grateful, first of all, for my mom to believe in me, and to believe in my dream and in my passion since I was very little. Because being someone that doesn't have anyone in the family being a musician, it was kind of a rare opportunity for them, or just a rare situation for them. It's like, why you want to be a musician? We don't really know that much about it. But my mom really took me to different places and took care of me in such a lovely way, so that I could actually do what I really wanted to do. And so thank you, Mom. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, because I really end up doing what I really like doing. So now, my first instrument, I started playing the first instrument when I was about 6 years old, and that was the guitar. I started playing guitar when I was about 6 years old. And then we used to be in a Casa de la Cultura, which is a house of culture in Santa Clara. And we were like 6 music students playing guitar, but we wanted to create a band, a musical band. So everybody had to pick a different instruments in order to make that band. So one got the bass, the double bass, and the other one got the tres, and the other one got the 𝗟𝗑𝗦, or one to sing, or different instruments. I actually picked up the bongos because it was so close to me and so natural, since already I was seeing people playing it, and I used to listen to rumba in the corner, and the comparsa carnivals used to actually rehearse and just parade right in front of my house while they were rehearsing. And so we made this group, this student group. I was about 7 years old or so. Now I'm going to show you a picture. This is a picture of me at 7 years old with the bongos. This is kind of a, the tourist bongos that you see, in hotels and stuff like that. This picture was actually in a hotel somewhere. I think it was Hotel 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗜𝗘𝗦 in Cienfuegos, and I didn't have any instrument at that time with me in the room, so my mom ended up buying me those bongos because I wanted to have just an instrument to play at that time. And there he is, the little kid with the bongos, having great fun. There sitting and playing. And yeah, from then on, I actually just keep playing the bongos and still playing some guitar and things like that. And then at 10 years old, my mom took me to do the exams to start doing the music school at the School of Fine Arts in Santa Clara. The name was 𝗟𝗑𝗙𝗘𝗦. I was 10 years old, and I did 4 years there. Now, the training that I got at that school, it was just classical training, basically. So I did a lot of snare, a lot of classical percussion, and percussion sets of classical pieces. And then inside of the training, we also did complementary piano, and we did solfege and harmony and so on. And the training was basically classical music, so I got introduced to the vast amount of music that was already made by great European composers and musicians. So and then inside of the school, there used to be a place, a room, where they have a drum set. We used to actually sneak into that room. Whenever we didn't have the key, we sneak in, but sometimes we had the key. And then I used to just be there as much as I could if I was not in class. And I started getting in love with the drum set. And so I started really playing drum sets when I was about 10 or 11 years old. That was my beginnings there in that school. And I believe we have actually a picture also of that moment. This is one picture of me at 14 years old. This is the last year of myself at the school in Santa Clara. This is a band I was playing there. This is not in the school itself. We went actually to play to a different school with a band that we've created. Half of the band was actually made out of the teachers from the school, and the other half was made by some of the students, and we had such an amazing time. That was my first experience of playing drums with a band. So that was to me very, very important, and I love that, to see that picture as well. It just brings so much good memories. And one of the drummers that became very influential and a great inspiration for me at that time, his name is Juan Carlos Rojas. His nickname is 𝗟𝗪𝗘𝗦. And 𝗟𝗪𝗘𝗦 used to play with this great, fantastic band in Santa Clara named Orquesta de Música Moderna. So in that band, they play a lot of arrangements, a lot of songs by Maynard Ferguson, and like big band charts, like arrangements of some Herbie Hancock songs, and amazing repertoire. And I just felt in awe by seeing, and so inspired by, first of all, listening to that big band, and second of all, just by having 𝗟𝗪𝗘𝗦 there, which is still a great drummer. He's around. He still lives in Cuba. He has played in various projects already in Cuba, and also internationally. So my big thank to 𝗟𝗣𝗩𝗘𝗦 for giving me that inspiration. Um, and then also when I was a kid, I used to go to el Parque Vidal, which is the central park of the town. There's like these classic colonial um, towns that have a park right in the middle, and I used to go there and listen. On Sundays, they used to play dance songs, and especially for old people who dance and know how to dance the dance song and really appreciate it. So I think it was about 5 p.m. or so that they did this kind of concerts for them in La Retreta, which is the inside of the park. They have a specific place there for the band to play, and I used to listen to that and just felt so inspired, and just music to me was something that in a way it revealed who I was without even knowing it. And especially when I hear to music, and any kind of music, whether that is more kind of in a rumba style, or in a song style, or more into a later on into different kind of music. But especially when I was a kid, I was driven by the music. As soon as I heard sound, my attention completely focused to that, and I just couldn't. It was bigger than myself. So it just drove me to to that curiosity of what is in there, and how can I find myself in this, which I enjoy so much. So that was basically something that is stick since that early age throughout all my life. Still now, I feel the same way when I find and listen to something interesting that I like. I'm just completely sucked and focused into that, and that's something for me that I find very just very interesting, and how you can really feel something bigger than yourself uh, by finding that passion, and by finding that really resonates with yourself. So that's what happened to me with music. Now, after I graduated from that school of music that I mentioned, the School of Fine Arts in Santa Clara, I was 14 years old. Then I went into uh, the National School of Music in Havana. Now there, I started meeting an immense amount of information, and people, especially the friends that were from everywhere in Cuba. This is the national school, so the national school took those who passed the exam from everywhere, from all the province in Cuba, and I got to meet people from Pinar del Rio to all the way to Santiago de Cuba, which is from the eastern to the western side of Cuba. And there I start listening much more to jazz also. And Cuban music was always around since I was a kid. I used to listen to in the streets, as I say, and people rehearsing, and on the radio also. And one of the great bands that is still around is Los Bambam, and I was a big fan of Los Bambam. All the songs, and I really identify with it. They have just a great amount of hits. I will say that most of the songs are just hits, basically, and they really resonate with the people. So it's a very popular band. I would say it's probably the most popular band in Cuba at this moment. And at that time, Changuito was playing timbales with the band, and I used to just watch him, and how tasteful and how into the music he was. And to me, we became friends later on. We actually played together later on. And you know, he was just an immense inspiration. I also listened and saw live a few times 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦, which is the band that was led by 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦, but it had a great deal of unbelievable musicians, including the drummer 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦, who's actually from Santa Clara as well. But I got to meet him in Havana already. He left Santa Clara probably when I was very little, or even before I was born. I think it was before I was born. And then with 𝗟𝗏𝗦𝗘𝗦 playing congas, and you know, 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗦 and 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢 de and the great lineup of the horns, and the whole band was just amazing. It was this great mix of, you know, of Cuban music and jazz, and they have this really strong repertoire as well from both, you know, kind of styles. And then being in Havana also, when I got there, I listened to bands like Emiliano Salvador. He's a great pianist from Cuba who passed and had an amazing repertoire also, and great songs. Also, the band with Gonzalo Rubalcaba, who I used to admire at that time as well, and it was a, you know, just an unbelievable experience to see that they used to have a band. I think one of the first band was called Prieto, and Horacio El Negro used to play drums in that band, and Roberto Vizcaíno percussion. That was an unbelievable combination of the two of them playing together, plus Gonzalo on piano and keyboards, and then Felipe Cabrera was playing bass, and I think Molote was playing trumpet. But in any case, they're, you know, a great deal of inspiration, and there are much more people also that really influenced me, that I work with them later on in different occasions, and or just happen to listen to them. So now I am in Havana, and I start meeting people. I start playing in the school itself. About my second year, I met a friend of mine who was in my same grade. His name is Carlos Maza. He's a Chilean pianist that lived in Cuba, and we became good friends, and we made a band. He had the music already in his mind, and he had already music reading, and he had a project in his mind, and I became the drummer of that band, of his band. And the music was very, in a way you can call it experimental or contemporary, or, you know, more close to adventurous than just Cuban music. So that was to me a very important moment, because I started listening through his music, and through his knowledge I started listening to musicians that I didn't know about at that time. And I was about 15 years old, or 16 years old already, and he introduced me to the music of Hermeto Pascoal from Brazil, and also 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦 and that was to me, you know, an eye-opening, an ear-opening to hear all this amazing music that was jazz, but at the same time closer to rhythmically what I was doing already in Cuba with the rhythms. So that really connected with me, and I really start enjoying their music, and many other musicians from different places, like more into a contemporary music, and music of jazz, and so I started playing with him, and we made a band, and then 2 years later we ended up going my first real kind of professional gig. I was 17 years old, and this was, we went to France. We did a tour, and we performed in professional festivals already, we were so young and at the same time so inspired and so willing to bring our best to the music, and that was really a great important step for me as well, to have met and worked with Carlos Massa. Then later on, I did and I worked also with a great pianist from Cuba, 𝗟𝗏 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥. He's a great friend of mine, and he now lives in Amsterdam. And I play actually in his first record called 𝗟𝗏𝗦𝗘𝗦. It's a beautiful record, and that was quite of experience also. He was very influenced by the music of Keith Jarrett also, and with Cuban influence and his own take on the whole aspect of the music. So that was really relevant to me as well, just to do such a different the variety of approach in the music. That was to me very important as well. That helped me to really broaden my attention and my curiosity for different kind of music. Then after that, I joined a band, which we created a band. The band wasn't before I was there, because we really created it, and this is a very important band in my life, which happens. I met these musicians through the school, in the National School of Music in Havana, and this was the band named Columna B. In Columna B is in English is Column B, and I believe we have a picture of one of the posters. There is. So we have a picture of one of the posters. This is when we did actually a performance in Spain, and we had such amazing time. I actually today I post just that picture on my social media, because I was such a fan of these musicians. I learned so much from them. This is 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗘𝗦 on saxo. And mostly he played alto saxophone and soprano, and 𝗟𝗑𝗩 as well. And Roberto Carcassés playing piano, and December Bueno playing bass, and myself on drums. So we had an amazing time together. I happen to owe them, a lot of things that I learned from them, and it just was a great time to be together and play music and really be adventurous and be creative about what we want to do with music. I always have in mind that my respect for tradition and what it has been done and things like that, but always in the back of my mind, I always have been thinking about how to personalize music. How can I make this as personal as possible? The way I feel it very personally. So I might as well develop that personal channeling of sound, and this is something that has been with me for a long time, and through the experience of playing with these kind of musicians, as the ones that I mentioned earlier, including the Columna B, that they really help me in a way to facilitate that belief that you can definitely do something personal through sound and through your own ideas in music, etc., etc. And with that band, with Columna B, we also traveled. We came to the US actually in '97 or so. We came to US, and then we end up going to Stanford University. We did a residency there for a week, and I remember that Miguel Angá, this great, unbelievable conga player, the one that I mentioned that was playing in 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦. He played with 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦 for, I don't know, probably more than 20 years or 30 years or so, after El Niño, who was the original conga player on 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗦. And so we had an amazing time there. In Stanford, we came to New York, and then we went to Cuba. We played in Cuba in different occasions, jazz festivals, etc. We went to Spain with that band, And at some point after the tour, I just decided that I was going to stay in Spain. And from then on was the beginning of my full experience of not being living in Cuba anymore. So I kind of uh, made that decision of not going back uh, for many reasons. And one of the main reasons was basically because I wanted to do more interesting things in terms of music. And and I made some connections already in Spain, but also in the US when I came, and in Canada. I did some touring also at the same time with a saxophonist named 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗘 from Toronto, Canada. And we did a tour in Canada, we did in the US as well later on. And so I stayed in Spain for about 1.5 years or 2 years. I was at the end of 97 to the year of 98. And then in 99, I got invited by Jane to come to Canada to do a tour in Canada and the US. And I came to do the tour. But I was living in Spain. And at that moment, part of the tour, it was to go back and play at the North Sea Jazz Festival. For some reason, and I would never understand why, they actually denied my visa to go to Europe, which basically meant that I couldn't go back where I was living. So in a way, destiny, or somehow, however you want to call that, kind of drove me to move away from that idea that I had of living in Spain. So I ended up coming into the US in 1999. I came to New York with a backpack and a pair of sticks, and I came to stay with a friend of mine who opened his door, Ricardo, in the east side of Manhattan, in the East Harlem, I remember. And I was, I was at the beginning, I was excited, but at the same time, I was very, hesitant to make that. My plan originally was not to come to New York um, and 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 do as everything that I end up doing. I was, being from a humble hometown and kind of a guajiro in a way. I didn't. New York was very overwhelming at that time for me. But I went with patience and with a lot of courage, and I went for it. And I remember, going to a lot of jam sessions and listening to a lot of musicians, great musicians that are playing constantly in New York, in little places, and in clubs and stuff like that. I used to go to the Zinc bar a lot, and I end up right when we got there in 1999. When I got there was also 𝗟𝗣 came, and some other people that we know from Cuba, and also I felt very welcoming from the musicians in New York when we start playing, and then people start talking, and I start meeting people. And I remember the Zinc bar was kind of those clubs that stay late until like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. So all the musicians in New York, after they finished doing their gigs, they used to go there and hang out. So we were playing there at least 2 or 3 times a week. I was playing there with different configurations. They actually had specific date of, I think it was Thursdays. They had us playing, whether it was with the project of 𝗟𝗣, or later on with a project of myself, but also with Xiomara Laugar, the singer, and Andy Gonzalez playing bass. And we also had just many, Luis Perdomo playing bass, piano, Ōctavio Ōctavio also playing guitar, electric guitar. Just amazing lineup of great people and musicians. It was really an amazing time to be around, and and that was, basically the beginnings of my staying in New York, and things like that. Then little by little, I start meeting other musicians, as I mentioned, and I happened to have the opportunity um, to play later on with people such as 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗢, who I've been playing with him for over 15 years or so already, on and off in different occasions. We record an album as well. Also with 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗏, I believe we have actually a wonderful picture, that I really like, of 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗏 and 𝗣𝗥𝗚𝗘𝗧. This picture, I couldn't be more happier in that picture. This is obviously Eddie on the left, and 𝗣𝗥𝗚𝗘𝗧 on the right. And they're just such a great spirits and such a great musicians, and both of them, being 3 times my age, still inspire me so much. And it's just a great spirit, and the influence that they got on me musically. I used to also play with Bobby in Cuba in the times of the Columna B band. See, Roberto Carcassés is Bobby Carcassés' son. So we were connected in a way with Bobby in so many different ways. And Bobby Carcassés is a major figure in the jazz music of Cuba. He's a showman. He's actually he plays trumpets, flugelhorn mostly, but also plays piano. He sings, he's cat, he dances, he plays congas, he plays bass, he acts. So he was a great inspiration, just to see how one person can do all these things, and be so actively involved. He actually used to lead different bands, and he was also the music director of the jazz festival in Cuba for many years as well. So that was a great moment that we met, because I was playing with Eddie at the same time that we invited Bobby to play in New York, and Bobby was staying with me at the house. And I say, this is unbelievable, an unbelievable opportunity, because Bobby knew of course Eddie, and they used to play before in other opportunities that Bobby came to New York. And so I surprised Eddie by bringing Bobby to the concert with me, and Bobby ended up with us on the stage and playing with us. That was a fantastic experience. I believe that picture was actually at the club Iridium. So now there are other, obviously throughout all these years, I've played with so many different kind of musicians, not only in the Latin scene, but also in the more avant-garde and contemporary scene. People like Steve Coleman, for example, or Henry Threigel, or Andrew Hill, people that really inspire me and influence me, not only in my drumming, because the music requires a very specific kind of drumming. It's not just any generic in a way. Their music is very particular and very focused on their own vision. So that was a great step for me to also challenging. But I love the challenge. I always have enjoy the challenge of taking and really make myself grow, and for the adventure of really tapping into different places musically. That was to me a great experience for me to do this kind of music as well, like more contemporary and avant-garde music, which in many cases didn't have anything to do with like the background that I came from Cuba or the clave or anything like that. But we also have a fantastic picture that it happened in 2008. I went to the drum camp conducted and directed by Dave Weckl. It's called Fantasy Drum Camp, And I believe this is in 2008. We have a really fun picture there with there is a picture with Tommy Igoe on the left is the tall guy, the tallest guys of all of us, and then Steve Smith there, and I'm in the center of the picture, and Dave Weckl on my side, and then Peter Erskine. I mean, this is an unbelievable opportunity to learn and see these great masters of the drums, playing and get the opportunity to hang out and to learn from them. It was a great experience. That was an unbelievable experience too. And also, playing with different people, we have also a very nice picture of me and Jerry Gonzalez. I played with the Fort Apache band a few times. This is Jerry and I taking a deep laugh in outside of a hotel somewhere. We were playing, I believe, at the Blues Alley in Washington, D.C., and we were probably waiting for the bus or the transport or something to drive us to the club. And we were just having a good time. Jerry is a great influence, a great human being, a great musician, and someone who really have supported young musicians like me and many others that have come through his life. And yeah, that's and then I also actually have I just brought a few pictures. So another picture I want to show you is this picture when I met Roy Haynes in a trip in a cruise, the jazz cruise. This was like probably about 10 years ago or so. This is a picture with Roy Haynes as a master drummer and a great guy. We had an amazing time hanging out at that boat. I was actually playing in that boat with 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗘𝗦 quartet. We did a jazz quartet, and we were playing this. The quartet was Brian Lynch on trumpets and Boris Kozlov on bass, and Eddie on piano, myself on drums, and Roy was there in that boat playing with his band. And anyways, was a great experience. Roy Haynes is a drummer of the decades. He actually still alive. He's 90 something years old, and this is a guy that play with. He's a master of drumming, but he did a great career of playing a lot with singers, but he played with Charlie Parker, with Coltrane, with all the the legends, of what we call the jazz music in the U.S., in this country and the world, and Roy became a legend himself, and he's just an amazing human being as well, and I know his family as well. So now being in New York, it really encouraged me to start doing my own music, my own projects as well, and that was a very turning point for me. I have written already a few songs of my own, but I never thought really of becoming a band leader, and that really New York really helped me to gain that courage in a way, to gain that vision that I could do something not only by playing drums itself, but also through writing music, through creating. I used to say that I was creating my own water to swim, and after all this experience of dealing with such a great leaders and musicians, I really felt like I was a time, and then I started. I did my first record when in 2005. A record was called About the Monks, and then my second record, it was in 2006. In the first record, I had Hans Glavinsnik on bass, Luis Perdomo on piano, 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗢 on saxophone and Brian Lynch on trumpet, myself on drums. This recording was at first was a demo for me of some of my songs. At that time, I think the first section we did, it was like 5 or 6 songs that I had gathered together of myself and worked on, and then we did it as a demo. It was not supposed to be a recording at that moment, and then later on, like a year ago, after that recording, the opportunity came to put out this as a record. So I added a few more tracks. We did another session, and I did at the end a track just by myself, just doing a lot of. I did like a conga, which I overdubbed all the percussion tracks and the drums and the singing, and I play actually a huge recorder that was in the studio. I start fooling around and improvising with it, and I say, okay, we're gonna go for it, and we're going to actually, include this huge recorder here on that last track, and that was I really have fun, unbelievable opportunity for me to share my music with these amazing musicians. And then my second album was a complete different instrumentation, which with the strings, and it had a violin, a cello. We have Jason Linder on keyboards, 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗘𝗧𝗢 playing saxophone, and we have Dana Leon playing cello, and we had Christian Haus on violin, and myself on drums. That was the second record. That band was called 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗘𝗦, and that record came out in 2006. Then later after that, I kept dreaming. I kept just writing music and conceiving other projects. I actually ended up doing a sextet album in 2008, and that was the beginning of me opening up my own record label, my own publishing company also. We have actually a video of that sextet that we can play a little bit of that sextet. Well, this is actually the latest recording of that sextet. This is a track named 𝗟𝗓 Tradition from my latest recording from that sextet. So you can play a little bit of that. This is a record that came out this past October. There are new additions on this sextet. The sextet has had different members throughout the years. The first sextet album was in 2008, and that's where I did the Dafnis on Music label. And then the second sextet album was in 2015, I believe. This is the third sextet album that came out last year, 2020. This is a song dedicated to the tradition. It's a made up word of the name of that song. It's called 𝗟𝗓 Tradition, and it deals with the part of the uncertainties behind what made tradition and what didn't make tradition, and always thinking about the people that we don't get to know because at some points they didn't have the luck in their life, or something happened to these people that were representing that tradition, or they created some kind of rhythm that disappeared or no one heard of it. So these kind of thoughts always give me this kind of uncertainty about putting everything, what we call tradition, in a place, because I believe there is so much that it also happened that didn't make tradition for one reason or another. And anyways, that song is dedicated to that. The point of that song, it was actually I wrote a song that is sound almost as if it were a traditional song, but it's not. So also the idea of what is the difference between something that is traditional and something that is not. That kind of concept to me, it was very always very interesting, especially because many times when I'm playing, obviously I'm influenced by all the traditions that I've been, inspired and nurtured by. In this case, mainly Cuban music, but also jazz and other kind of traditions. And to me, it was is like what what I what how can I create a song that it brings that kind of attitude, or play something like I used to play, and people say, "Oh, I like that rhythm that you did. This is like some such a rhythm," and I say, "No, it sounded like such a rhythm, but it's not really such a rhythm. Such a rhythm is like this." So that kind of sometimes you playing something that it might sound like traditional, but it's not. So what it makes that difference? Always very interesting on those. I can go. This is the rhythm of this. This is the rhythm of that. But there is always so much variations you can do in music, and so much way of personalizing that concept of within those rhythms, that it might get closer, or might get really far from it. I have especially, there is a book that my first book that I wrote, is called A World of Rhythmic Possibilities, and in that book, I believe we have probably a cover. There you go. In that book, this is a thick book. It's book of it took me like 7 years to finish it. Um, because it's very ambitious project. This has like 10 different chapters. It has like 270 something pages, and it took me long just to kind of visualize the whole concept of what I wanted to do. And each chapter is kind of has its own world in a way. And in that book, I addressed that idea of really developing and creating different possibilities out of what we call already tradition, right? So that's something that I've been trying to develop, or always very inspired by that idea of what else can we make out of what we already have. What I already know. Am I going to be playing the clave the same way all the time, or can I play the clave in different time signatures, in different with different subdivisions, in a different configuration, musically speaking, so that it's still the clave but in a different scenario in a way, and that kind of change or variation, or just giving the music a different opportunity in a way. Um, that always has been one of the things that I enjoy the most. Um, and then going back to the recordings after the sextet album, that first sextet album that I mentioned in 2008 was called "Taking the Soul for a Walk," and this was a recording with amazing lineup as well. We had 𝗟𝗣𝗙𝗘𝗦 playing trumpet, and 𝗟𝗣𝗙𝗘𝗦 playing saxophone, alto and soprano. We also have Peter Affoban playing tenor and melodica, and we had Junior Terry playing bass on that album, and Manuel Valera playing piano. Then I did another project with a quartet. It's called the COC Quartet. Man, I don't remember anymore. It's a lot of things going on, and then but anyways, one of the my latest the album that came out before this one, that the Transparency album that we just put you a click now. Before that, I did the big band uh, projects, and that was very challenging, at the same time very rewarding, and I couldn't be more grateful for all the musicians that play in the album, and everyone involved, especially the producer 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗡, who is a great friend of mine and who's someone that has been so close to me for a few years already, working really hard with me to make every of my projects possible one way or another. And we have a big band. I believe we also have a big band video. We can see a little bit of that. This is called Danzones Popurrí. It's a popurrí of danzones that I've previously written, and I make a big arrangement of it for the big band. It was just such amazing to be on stage and share that music with such a great musicians. This was quite of an adventure. I've written music already for big band, for other big bands, like commission. But this was my first album with my own, just the whole album in a big band configuration. There it is. That's Roberto Quintero playing percussion there. It's a great friend of mine, great percussionist, great musicianship on that record. And yeah, I wrote all the songs there, and as I say, it was just a dream come true in a way, to have all this band put together. And we did some amazing performance here in the US in different festivals. I also went to Europe and did kind of a hybrid version of that in Europe with other big bands, like in Germany, and also with the WDR big band. And anyways, I also did residencies in Europe, and we did it with the 𝗟𝗓𝗦𝗘 Jazz Orchestra, that same music, and we went to the North Sea Jazz Festival. We were around with that music as well, and we actually got a Grammy. I believe we have actually a picture of that Grammy. We got a Grammy for that album, the album Back to the Sunset. We have there you go. This is the Grammy from 2018, Best Latin Jazz Album. Yeah, I've worked with in different projects before that's have won Grammys and been nominated before. I myself have been nominated like 2 or 3 times already before this winning album. And before, I used to play with a band named Caribbean Jazz Project with Dave Samuels, great percussionist and mallet player. He played vibraphone and xylophone. We did a record also named The Gathering. I believe I recorded like 3 or 4 albums with them. And in that period, Richie Flores was playing percussion. He's a great friend of mine and an unbelievable percussionist as well. He played percussion in that band too, in Caribbean Jazz Project, and we had so much fun playing and just hanging out in tours and stuff like that. Yeah, Caribbean Jazz Project that was nominated, and it won a few Grammys already, and some other nominations for other things. When I played actually with 𝗟𝗩𝗦𝗘 Valdés as well, his big band album named 𝗟𝗩𝗘𝗘 de Cuba, which I believe it was nominated as well for the Grammys. But anyways, and then after that I did this record, Transparency, the sextet album, which is really another kind of an extension of the sextets, instrumentation and sound. I think the sextet has a very specific and very special sound to me, kind of very emotional, almost like a mini big band in a way, for having the 3 horns at front, and then the rhythm section, the piano, bass, and drums. It just has a wide range of possibilities. And this album specifically, the Transparency, that came out this last October in 2020, it was basic on the notion of the transparency of the person, of the quality of how well you're able to to be transparent to the world and through your actions and to yourself as a human being and through a musician. And being, a musician yourself, you are so exposed to audiences and people all the time. And I think the quality of a transparency is a great one, um, that really resonates with people when you are as such. So, and now we're working on different things. I also published last year my second book, named Rhythmic Synchronicity. This is a course. That's the cover of the book, and you can find all this information on my website, 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗢.com. And this book specifically is for non-drummers. In my second book, this one is for non-drummers. This is a course that I created at the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami, where I've been teaching for about 5 years already. And they were really receptive and really open to me to bring this idea of creating this course. And now all the students are really having a great time learning rhythm. This is really a rhythmic training for non-drummers, so they can enhance their ability, their skills of playing rhythms and synchronize best as possible with themselves rhythmically, but also within a band configuration. And both of these books, they have like audio tracks and things that you can download from my website when you purchase the book and stuff like that. So, and then other things that I've been really just amazingly proud of in terms of awards and in terms of things like that was in 2011, when I got the big surprise of being awarded and being a fellow of the 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢 Foundation. That was to me a great and astonishing news for me. That's me there with that's the official picture they put on their website, the 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢 Foundation. The 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢 Foundation is an organization that it really supports in a way, or bring a level of awareness of people in different fields. It doesn't have to be artists. It's just different fields. It could be in physics, in math, or in biology, or in social workers, especially. They do a lot of recognition and into the social workers and musicians as well. As a matter of fact, the first drummer that got this 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢 was Max Roach. He got this 𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗧𝗢, I believe, in 1988. They gave this award to Max Roach, and 20 years later, I think, or something like that, or 20 or 30 years later or so, then I received the award itself. So for me, it was a great honor, and I was really surprised and really, it just feels like someone is listening to what you're doing, and that's a great feeling. Because I just want to say also that behind all this story that I've given you, and probably many artists will give you, there is a great deal of challenges. There is a great deal of ups and downs in so many different ways. I have to basically restart my life a few times already by being in so different places in the world, and try to settle in and try to connect with the people there, but also still seeing the vision as a whole, and just many challenges, also economically. In many ways, we're playing in a scenario or something, and trying to deal with the economics nowadays and things like that. So it is a great and satisfying profession, and I'm just being blessed and for the opportunity that I've been given one way or another to express myself, but it takes a great deal of courage and a great deal of discipline uh, to keep on going in what you really believe, and that has been my case. Um, so I just want to put that word out there of that. Music seems to be a very fun thing to do, and when people listening, uh, everybody's enjoying it. But I just want to give you that other side of the story. What's happening many times is hard work, and to be a musician, and and to gain in a way the musicianship of a high level. In a way, it just takes a great deal of discipline and courage and focus, as well as any profession, I will say, in a way. But music has a lot of ups and downs on that, because it's really depends a lot, for example, of how's the economy in that moment. Or like right now is very challenging for musicians right now through during this pandemic situation with the COVID. Has been very challenging for many musicians to make a living, because we depend on the state, in a way, of the social state of how people are feeling, or the situation. But now specifically, everything got really reduced to be online and things like that, because we cannot perform live. And I'm just also happy that after a year we've been through this, we can start seeing, in a way, a light at the end of the tunnel, through the vaccine that has been already being distributed, and start getting more distributed around the U.S. and around the world. And I'm just happy that little by little we're gaining that experience of live music. We're coming back to that, which I'm really missing it big time, especially going on tours and just playing music for people around the world. So now I have actually I have a special guest for you. I have 𝗟𝗣 is going to be here, asking me some questions. And guys, if you have any questions or any comments that you want to have in the chat, please feel free to write it down, and I could answer if you have any questions or anything that. Hey, greetings from Niagara Falls. Yes, yes, yes. That's a beautiful place, Niagara Falls. And yeah, that's Susan from Mission Viejo, CA. That's Cali, the people from Cali. Oh, you saw me at Quebec City. Wow, Rafa Angelilo. That's right. That's when was that? Like probably 3 years ago or so. Yeah, that was an amazing experience there, playing at that festival. We did. I did like a master class, and also did a performance at night. And I had the opportunity to invite some friends that lived in Toronto. 𝗟𝗛𝗡 Ferrell, who's a great guitar player from Cuba, he came down, and we played a couple songs of mine. And a great friend, my brother Roberto Kipinti, who plays bass, I invite him also to come and play with us. And anyway, we had an amazing time at that festival with the Rafa Angelilo Drum Festival in Quebec. Quebec is a wonderful city. It's kind of a very antique. There is a lot of there are a lot of buildings, and the architecture is very very old, European in a way. It's obviously very influenced by the French culture, and it was a very nice time that we had there. So I'm not sure if now is the right time to invite Jerry, but um, there you are. Hey,
Dafnis, good to
yes,
see
yes, yes.
you.
Good to see you
Yeah.
too. Thank you.
Thank you for spending some time with us and sharing your story. I appreciate it very much.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, you said a lot of amazing things. I've just been soaking it all in, but some really wonderful transitions from Cuba to Spain
Yeah,
and to New York, and then your challenges kind of going up and down, like talking about resettling and
yeah,
kind of reconnecting in a way. That's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's just challenging because you move. You need to have some kind of economics to make that move in a way, and also
yeah,
you go into a new place, you start a new adventure, meeting new people, creating new opportunities, creating in a way a good reputation in that place, so that you
yeah,
can actually become visible and a positive a
yeah,
positive name in the community in a way, right? So that's always has
absolutely.
been, but also, yeah, it's just challenging in many ways, especially in the beginnings of it, when you're trying to gain, and that's that try to play, and things like that. Just many times things doesn't happen as we want them to happen, or as fast as you want them to happen. But
Hmm.
to me, something that has been very very in a way that had helped me to focus is like, I always look back to that picture that I showed you early, when I
Yeah.
was 6 or 7 years old playing the bongos.
Mm.
I wasn't thinking about anything at that time. To me, was my relationship with music.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's that every time that I get a kind of a down
Yeah.
situation or something, I just go back into that time and say, okay, what is the reason I'm doing this?
Yeah.
The reason I'm
Yeah.
doing this is because this is really my passion. This is really my love. This is something that before anything else, I'm going to try to do my best, and I'm going
Yeah.
to try to fight for it, and to really uh, develop my skills to really get to that level that I want to be, and feel satisfied by it,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. It's
So
beautiful. So that kept you back. That kept you back on track to
yes,
kind of
yes,
go
yes,
forward.
yes, because many
Yeah.
times it could be very discouraging for many people as well,
Yeah.
you know
Absolutely.
you know
Wow. Well, it's with everything that's happening right now with the pandemic. And the last time I saw you was at PAS, which kind of feels like it was so long
Hello.
ago,
I know.
a long time ago, with
Yes.
Giovanni, and that was a lot of fun. That was great. We hung
Yeah.
out, and I look back, I'm like, man, I appreciate the good
Yeah.
times, man. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
that
You
we
actually
go back
had,
to that.
Jerry, you had a nice video that we had there, that you took on this thing. You actually, Jerry, is Jerry's fault, that video that almost became viral on my social media. Me playing the frying pan,
Yeah, yeah.
which I play the frying pan on the drum set, and Jerry filmed you filmed this video. You were hanging around the drum set, and I say, Jerry, just, or I don't know if I asked you, you just went ahead and filmed the frying
I
pan.
just went ahead
You
and I
were
said, "This is too good. I have to catch this on
I know.
film." So I
I
did.
re- I remember. That's the frying pan right there. Look at Giovanni in the back.
And there's Gio in the back too. Giovanni Hidalgo's in the back.
Yeah, yeah, that was a performance we did at PAS with Michel Camilo Trio, and
Yep.
we had at the end of the show, we invited Giovanni to play a couple songs with us. That was
Oh,
a great moment.
great closing. It was a closing day, I think it was at
Yes,
PAS.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you guys are just on fire. Everybody was just, man, great show,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But it's incredible. Yeah, but that pan, I mean, that tone on that pan, I've seen so many videos of you playing on it, and I love that thing. It's amazing. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it
Maybe,
right here behind, on the set. I have it there.
yeah.
Uh,
Tell me, like, how did you? Because I love the idea, the concept that found
well,
sound.
there is a huge history behind that, because the first time I actually heard a frying pan played on a music setting, it was back then, very close to that first picture that I showed you playing the bongos.
Yeah.
When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I used to listen and go to see the rehearsals of the carnival music, the congas.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And they had two of them, one a little bit higher pitch and the other a little bit lower, and they have this rhythm, kind of the more generic rhythm of that is a the conga, and then I just love that, and I kind of, it just stuck in my mind. And then one day I say, why don't you use a frying pan if I like it so much? But then those frying pans are more kind of a hard, high tone, like very dry, almost similar to a cowbell in a way, right? Like
Okay. Yeah.
But this one, what it has good about it is that it has still that, but it has a much upper sounding. And what happens is when you play it with the mallets, it almost sounds like a gong.
Oh, interesting.
So it has this other quality where you can play something really soft and just hit it, and then it's like
just resonates.
Yeah, it resonates, and it's really, I love the tone of it. So I had a great time with that now.
Yeah, I love that thing. Every time I see it, I'm like, yes, he's got the pan.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It just sounds amazing. But I love your setup. It's great. The pan, and you got the jam blocked on between the toms, which is awesome.
That has been there for years, man. I have the jam block on top of the toms. And then I have the cowbell. Mostly before, I used to actually have the cowbell mounted on the bass drum.
Mm-hmm.
But now I got some goodies from you guys, and I got the tambourine, and which I fell in love with it. Now I switched. Now I have the tambourine mounted on the bass drum, and I changed the cowbell to the side of the floor tom. So now I have the wood block, the tambourine, and the cowbell on the right in the floor, and it's great. I'm having a great time with that tambourine. That's for sure.
Oh man, yeah. So you're mounting it on the bass drum then instead of the cowbell.
Yes, I mounted with a regular mounted, the LP mounted on the, and then I just put it there, and it's great because I put it just a little bit lower than the snare, so I don't hit it when I do like cross stick or something, right?
Oh wow.
But at the same time, it's so easy to access, to play with. Man. I can do it with either hand. It's just such a, it's fun because it adds the high pitch. And now, before, the highest pitch that I handled on the drum set, it was the snare. Now I have the tambourine going higher into the snare and then into the rest of the drums.
Oh, interesting.
Going,
Oh wow. Yeah. We got to film some content with you using everything like that. So it's definitely in. Whenever you're in town, back in our side of the world, so we gotta do something.
Indeed.
And of course, I was listening to your new album, Transparency. There's a song that's really nice, "Cry With Me," which is a really good tune, and I think you have a video on YouTube as well. But maybe you could tell me a little bit more about your new album, and then you were talking about a little bit about it, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more, like. What kind of initiated it, and of course it was released last year during this whole pandemic, so it was really good to see some of our artists release their music.
We recorded it right a week before the whole shutdown started.
Wow.
We were in New York. We did 4 nights at the Jazz Standard. And then right after that, we went into the studio to record the album. And then we had an amazing time already. The music was already all done. Everybody knew what to do. We had a great section in the recording. And, who knew at that time when we were recording that this whole thing was going to turn upside down in terms of playing live, and so many changes that we have, been through in this past year, right?
Right.
And then this whole thing came out, but we still wanted to share it with the world, and we still wanted to put it out at the time, by the time that we want to, which we recorded in the spring, and we wanted to put it out in the fall. I think it's a great gathering of music that I prepare for this specific instrumentation, the sextet, and these specific musicians as well, and these musicians, I think the music always speak of who you are. So it was very easy to create that concept of transparency through these musicians, through the playing of their the musicianship on stage and when we play. So, and the concept, as I say, in a way was kind of reveal the importance of sincerity, the importance of being transparent, and not just being fooling around and doing and trying to get close by, or trying to make shortcuts here and there. Just keeping yourself humble, and keeping yourself working hard, and doing the right thing, and being just transparent to any particular situation, which many times is what really resolve the issues more than than skipping the problems, or just hiding it behind somewhere, right?
I agree.
So that's basically the idea behind it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful album. So
thank you. Yeah, and that you mentioned "Cry with Me." This is in a way the invitation. It's an invitation that I did to the musicians in a way, because the concept of laughing is always very joyful, and it's very easy to spread. But when you say cry, which is almost the opposite, which almost not, it is the opposite of laughing. I thought about that circumstance. It's a very intimate situation when you're crying. It's very,
powerful.
It's very powerful, and at the same time, vulnerable. It's very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable moments, and it just bringing that sense into the music. It was a great achievement of it, and in this album for sure.
Wow, incredible. Well, I suggest everybody to check it out for sure, because it's a good one. You were talking about, I love your quote, what you just said was creating my own water to swim. And that's a beautiful message. That's wonderful. And the transition from being a drummer to a band leader, I mean, you do all of it. But what was the spark? What was the spark that said, all right, I'm going to be a band leader. I'm going to create my own water to swim, as you say.
It was coming out already through my experience with 𝗟𝗩𝗪, which I wrote probably one or a couple songs for the band. The 𝗟𝗩𝗪 was kind of a very collective band. We all, kind of wrote music for it, and we arranged it in the rehearsals. This is a band that we used to hang out, 24/7 every day, and rehearse and just hang out and see each other at night. And it's that kind of, we were like in the early 20s. That's that amazing time, right? And that's that started there. And then when I came to New York, it really started back that idea of doing more, because I was inspired by the music and the scene and the amount and the possibilities also. Now I had an unbelievable amount of people, musicians that could play the music very well and take the music into a really good level, and they were in the city and available, and I was already playing with them. So I say, why don't you just try it and see how it goes, right? And that was really how it came about.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's great. That's it's a good transition, obviously, going into that, big stage, big step in your life of doing that, and
I mean,
as well as educating as well.
I'm thankful also because of I was trained musically the classical training, and that really helped me to see music in the broader sense.
Mm.
And to learn, harmony and counterpoint and things like that are very useful when it comes to, dealing with writing music, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I have a picture here of some of your mentors and teachers in Cuba.
Yes.
I wanted, because I think we kind of skipped this one, but I'd love to show it. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes.
Here it is.
Oh yes, those are my teachers. I mean, some a little bit closer than others in terms of the teaching aspect of it. But in the left, you can see there my teacher in the school. Actually, on my side, you can see on my right side there, you can see Roberto Concesión. He's a great teacher, and in Cuba, he's probably a teacher of all of the other guys too. He's the oldest in the picture, and he's a great friend and someone who really, really get you to understand your responsibility as a student as well, which it was very, very, very important for me at that time. And he's just a great teacher and great human being, Roberto Concesión. And the one in the middle, Ruiz López-Nussa, he's a great teacher as well.
Oh, Ruiz López, yeah.
Yeah. Ruiz López-Nussa, he's the father of the two brothers, the Harold and Ruiz López-Nussas, and that's his father. And I met him, then, and he's a great inspiration. He actually
amazing drummer.
Played a lot in Havana, and they used to have a band also with Roberto Carcassés also, called 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦 in Havana. And this is 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, the one that is on his side, on his right side. 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, the drummer that I mentioned to you, he was the drummer for 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘 for at least 30 something years or so.
Wow.
And he's a great friend, and he was not a teacher of mine in a sense of personally, but such an inspiration, and always someone so supportive to me. And the other one here on the far left is Jose Eladio, who was actually a teacher of mine at the National School of Music. He's a great teacher, someone very knowledgeable about percussion, especially Cuban percussion. He has written a few books. They all have written books also on Cuban drumming and things like that. So that picture is really meaningful to me, because I went actually to Cuba and we gathered. I called them up and say, let's just get together and just have
oh, good.
Yeah, and just share some stories and have some fun. That was actually before we finished. We were there, having already the peak of our meeting. That was in that picture. That was fun. Great guys, man.
That's amazing mentors to have. Yeah, that's incredible. I also have another. I mean, talking about your journey playing at Carnegie Hall. Here's another great photo here of you.
Yeah, that's right outside the Carnegie Hall. This was in 2018 with a big band. We played at the Carnegie Hall. It was actually sold out the day before already, and that was actually the day before of the gig that I went there just to I walk around the Carnegie, and there I saw my picture. And I say, what is this Guajiro from Santa Clara doing here? That was very exciting. Very exciting. Exciting moments. To play at that unbelievable place. With so much history, and especially bringing your own project with your own music. It's such a meaningful thing. I played there before actually with Michel Camilo trio.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But like more than 10 years ago, so that was quite of experience, and the band sound unbelievable on that hall.
Oh, wow.
We had an amazing time.
what an accomplishment, you know, and throughout your entire journey, you know, it's like it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, I'm ready to keep working as long as I can. You know, I have the motivation and the passion and the, you know, everything. I'm really, you know, we grew older, but the dreams keep coming.
Yeah.
I saw once, you know, someone did an interview to an actor, is also a director, and they asked him, "Man, yeah, you have done so much work, and you know, you have been so. Did you get tired, or you know, this is not, you know, time for this? The only problem is I keep dreaming. That's the only problem, you know. And I have to make those things happening when I'm alive, you know.
Yeah, you got to keep like you said, create my own water to swim in.
Yeah,
which is perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
And you have any upcoming? I think you were talking a little bit about the future here with 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗘 𝗟𝗑𝗦 on May 22nd. I want to mention that as well. Is that okay to talk about as well?
I'm doing a performance with Chucho on May 22nd here at the Arts Center in Miami.
Nice, beautiful.
And I'm doing one actually in April next month as well with him. We have also a booked big band performance also in Houston at the 𝗟𝗩𝗦𝗘𝗦, and I hope it happens with all this you know, crazy situation. I hope it happens in August with a big band in Houston, and just a few things. We have some stuff lined up in Europe in the fall also.
Nice, very cool. Well, can't wait to check that stuff out, and of course, your books are doing well, and you have the 2 books, which is A World of Rhythmic Possibilities, and it's also translated in Spanish too, right? You also have it in Spanish.
Yes,
Un mundo de
yes.
posibilidades rítmicas.
Yeah, I have it in Spanish too, and people can you know, get it on my website. This is we take care of.
There
that.
We go.
It's we do everything homemade here at home.
As long as we get the job done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing right now too for people to kind of learn as well and use this time as well in quarantine, I guess, which you have an amazing space. But if people have a great space like that as well, pick up some of these books and check it out, and you can find it on his website. Dafnis, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you do for us and telling us your story and sharing some time with us and spending this time. Here's your social media.
That's right.
Right there.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. The YouTube, Dafnis on Music. Yes. If you type my name or Dafnis on Music in anywhere, you know, you'll find me.
It'll pop up.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till we.
Thank you again, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry, again for the invitation to you and to Jules and to put all this together. I know you guys are very careful with making this, you know, the best experience possible for everyone to have, and I really appreciate your invitation and having me here. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be here. So,
thank you so much, Daphne. I appreciate it, and please take care. Hopefully, we get to see each other again at the next PAS or wherever it is, and maybe in Miami this time. So
that would be great. All right.
Gracias. Un abrazo.
Big hug. Un placer. Thank you, guys.